Today I'm going to be learning more about the German language by watching this video, why German sounds so aggressive, and I feel like that's actually just a stereotype. I've now watched a lot of German content, heard a lot of different German accents, a lot of different German speaking German, and to be honest, not really any of them have sounded too aggressive. When I was growing up and I never really had that experience, it was a stereotype that German was quite an aggressive language. I don't think it's fair or true. Maybe some people do. I'm from Glasgow, Scotland, and we definitely have a stereotype of having a very aggressive, sometimes violent, people say, violent accent. Tell me what you think about my accent. Does it sound aggressive to you? But interested to learn more about the German language, and yeah, you can tell me what you think about this one.
We are German, and as such, we are always self-conscious about getting angry in public. Our language is quite the troll.
I can do an evil old Hausfrau. Ess dein Schnitzel, sonst kriegst du keinen Nachtisch.
Deutschland ist ein Land ut Stodluten.
Na ja, lass die Hunde hock. Nimm an wegen Schritt. Glaubst du, dass die Deutsche keinen Humor hat, ha?
German sounds harsh and aggressive.
Guten Tag! Ich will ein klein Brotchen haben, bitte schön!
Yeah, maybe that's why the stereotype, maybe the stereotype doesn't even come from Germany. Maybe it's all this like American media who pretty much cartoonify, if that's a word, or they exaggerate the German accent and language in all these instances in movies, TV shows and stuff, and just give it that like aggressive sound. And I guess maybe it comes from who we've seen in that first scene. But what do you think about that stereotype? Do you think it's unfair? What do you think about that?
Das schwarze Brotchen mit der Käse und das Schinken, bitte schön!
It's a disgusting language. Nobody should ever speak it. It sounds like typewriters eating tinfoil being kicked down the stairs. And somebody is talking to you in German, they're saying, and you think, what is happening to you from behind? How can we make it stop?
Someone, somewhere, is always making fun of our language. But why does German sound so aggressive to the rest of the world? The German language is part of the Germanic branch of the Indo-Germanic language family. Besides German, Dutch and English are also Germanic languages. But while English sounds gentle to many people, German is often described as spat, barked, ugly, dry, cold, harsh, yapping, and military. German is rarely perceived as beautiful. There are several reasons for this.
1. Linguistic characteristics.
German has a lot of gutturals and glottal stops. They can make the language sound harsh. Let's start with guttural sounds. German has the special ach sound, which sounds very throaty. It can be heard in the German words fauchen, which means to hiss, or krach, which means noise.
In Scotland we have a similar sound, but it's OCH, so it's like och. But all those like terms that they use, the negative terms to describe German, is ones I've actually heard to describe Scottish, the Scottish accent as well. So I definitely feel a sort of kinship here.
These words are often difficult for non-German speakers to pronounce because these sounds don't exist in widespread languages like English. Next, glottal stops. Germans pronounce vowels very strongly, especially when they appear at the beginning of a word. This causes the vocal cords to open suddenly and all the air that has built up to escape at once. Take the word apple. The German word is Apfel. You can hear it quite well throughout this example. Ich esse oft Äpfel und anderes Obst. In many other languages, the words of a sentence are spoken in a flow.
Ich esse oft Äpfel und anderes Obst. I think it's like such an enjoyable language to say.
In German,
well,
sometimes there's a mini pause before each individual word. Here you can hear the difference. Everything is alright. Alles ist in Ordnung.
Alles ist in Ordnung.
Of course, I'm overdoing it a bit here, but you get the idea.
And why is the O capitalized here in this sentence? Tell me about that. That's not something I actually know about.
These breaks can make German sound a bit barked. Some sounds exist in almost all languages, such as M and B. Others are quite unique and only appear in a few languages. In English, there's the diagraph th, for example in thanks. Germans, including me, often struggle to pronounce that. Italian, which is often considered to be a beautiful, melodious language, uses mainly vowels and only a few exotic sounds. German, on the other hand, has many rare, complex sounds, which might come off as strange. We use so-called umlaute, such as ä, ö, and ü. Again, often hard to pronounce for non-German speakers. And there's the sz. It looks like this and is essential for our all-time favorite word, Scheiße. The sz is used to indicate the hard s sound. Plus, many German words just have a lot of consonants. For example, Strumpf, or a classic selbstverständlich.
Whoa, selbstverständlich.
Which means of course.
That's quite... Okay.
German is complicated, and as humans we often shy away from complexity. But isn't the real challenge to transform complexity into something enjoyable and intriguing? That's kind of the ethos of this channel and also the essence of today's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant offers interactive games, puzzles, and a bunch of resources to teach you about subjects like tech or science. They customize content to fit your needs and let you explore at your own pace. They have a fantastic new course about computer science fundamentals that we personally enjoyed a lot. If that's not your cup of tea, there's a vast library of other stuff, and new lessons are added every month. To try everything Brilliant has to offer free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/fern or click on the link in the description. The first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. Let's jump back in. Hit it, Cybermirko.
2. Infinite words.
This is a not made up, absolutely real German word with 79 letters.
Okay, before he says, tell me if you've seen that word before, tell me if you can pronounce it, tell me what it means, like, what?
Rinderkennzeichnungs-Fleischetikettierungs-Überwachungsaufgabenübertragungsgesetz. We will not bother you with what it means here. What we're trying to tell you is this. German has a high number of compound words. These can be really cool because the word often literally describes what it means. For example, you have a house and a Tier, an animal, and together it is a Haustier, a pet. Though as a people, we seem to have made it our goal to put together as many words as possible. This has led to many long and insanely complex creations. Mark Twain already made fun of this word and many others in 1880 in his famous essay, The Awful German Language. He writes, "These things are not words, they are alphabetical processions, and the inventor of them ought to have been killed." And because the words are weird, a lot of non-German speakers find them very entertaining. They have something weirdly over-precise and orderly about them. Combined with their guttural and glottal stop consonant-loaded delivery, it can give them a military touch. Ironically, we have a word for this. Konsonantenschlacht. Every German-speaking actor or model has to do the German word quiz on an American talk show at least once.
Bezirksschornsteinfegermeister.
Schmetterlingsbeinschlag.
Backpfeifengesicht.
Albeit this last one being an absolute banger of a word, meaning a face that's just inviting a good slap like Jimmy Fallon's, these shows...
Yes. Okay, that is very good, man. Perfectly, like, captured with Jimmy Fallon there as well. Yeah, what do you think about that? Like, making German people or German celebrities do that on a chat show? Do you think that's quite demeaning, or do you think it's fun? Is that a good way to introduce the German language to an American audience, or do you think it is basically talking down on it? What do you think?
It's only strengthen the image of the difficult and weird German language. And this leads us to
3. Prejudices.
What do people think of when they think of Germany?
And they're saying to you something like, we have been better, but we're very vibrant in the theatre and arts and so on. All the time you listen to this, you're thinking, Hitler.
During the 2 world wars, the German naturally became the enemy in many countries. German-American relations changed drastically. In the US, the teaching of German was banned. German programs were no longer allowed to be played on the radio. Authorities called for a boycott of German goods. Streets and even sauerkraut were renamed. Hitler is possibly history's most
Liberty
terrifying
cabbage?
figure. Germany's history, once so gruesome, it is rightly so echoed, processed, and analyzed countless times in all forms of media, so it may never be forgotten. According to many linguists, the perception of the German language is in part the result of these historical and socio-cultural contexts. German might have an image problem. Linguists would point out that you shouldn't judge a language based on its sound. What sounds strange to one person is beautiful to another. And if you label a language as ugly, you might miss out on fascinating insights into other worlds of thought and sound. So lastly, let us introduce you to some beautiful German words you can pretentiously incorporate into your Sprachgebrauch. Fernweh describes the opposite of homesickness, the longing for distant places. Weltschmerz.
Whoa, I like that one. That definitely applies to me. Like, I'm from the UK, but I've lived in Asia for the last 13 years. I love exploring different countries, being far away, being in different environments, different cultures. Fernweh, what a brilliant word.
Of homesickness, the longing for distant places. Weltschmerz is a feeling of knowing that the world will always fail to meet your expectations because of the prevalence of pain existing throughout it. And lastly, Treppenwitz. A joke or thought that you think of too late, just as you walked out the door, already on the stairs. Like, I'm sure there's a nice way to finish the video here, but I guess it just won't come to me until we hit publish.
Oh, great documentary there. Very well produced, very interesting. Go subscribe to that channel, Fern. Like, brilliant. Just everything about that video was so enjoyable. The way it looked, the content was very insightful. And yeah, again, like, that's a brilliant way to really promote a language. I'm somebody who really loves language. Again, having learned another language, learned to speak Malay in Malaysia. I really appreciate people who speak languages or are proud of the language, and this one, German, is, yeah, I feel like it's got like an unfair reputation, unfair stereotype. Again, having listened to a lot of people, man, how can you listen to somewhere like folk or Pispers and not just like feel like your ears are being massaged, not by just the knowledge, but just the cadence, the sound of it. It sounds so great. Tell me what you think about this. Why Germans sound so aggressive? Do you think that's fair? And yeah, tell me any other interesting German words you know. Thanks.